Hello there, dear listener. This is Brian, and I want you to rob us. But before we get to that, let me tell you a little bit about our year. 2025 is coming to an end, and we had a banner year here at Many-Sided Media. We played games like Hell Whalers, Slug Blaster, Yazeba's Bed and Breakfast, and Last Train to Bremen. But did you know that those aren't the only games that we played? We actually played a whole lot more. Over on the Many-Sided Media Patreon, we call it the Dice Pool, we play even more games and release bonus actual plays and cast talkbacks each and every month. And sometimes, we even get the designers of the games that we play to run them for us. This year, we had Felix Isaacs on to run us through an original 3-part Wild Sea adventure that we called Wild Sea Wreckage. I got to play a Mothrin Raveler conspiracy theorist, and is probably my favorite character that I got to play all year. And then we had Caleb Zane Hewitt on, who is the designer of the Emmy Award-winning Triangle Agency, who introduced us to an original 3-episode series featuring a brand new anomaly and guest player, Taylor Moore. Plus, we played games like Scurry, Token, Tacklebox, and honestly, a ton more. I know what you're wondering. When is this heist happening? Well, I'm getting to that, because members of the Dice Pool get every episode of My First Dungeon and Talk at the Table ad-free, plus MP3s of the original music we make for our shows, plus cast talkbacks for every episode of My First Dungeon, and bonus roundtable discussions featuring folks like Evil Hat publisher Fred Hicks, actual play scholar Dr. Emily Friedman, and Dimension 20 creator Brennan Lee Mulligan. So that's all pretty shiny, right? Certainly worth stealing. So here's where the robbery comes in. All you have to do is go to patreon.com/many-sided-media and sign up to become a member of the Dice Pool. You'll pay $10 a month and you will get access to literally everything we have ever made. But don't worry, you have my express, official, legally binding verbal permission to pay $10 one time, download everything we have, cancel your subscription, and then ride off into the sunset with 5,231 minutes of TTRPG podcast goodness. That is 87 hours or 3.63 days, and that is just the stuff that we made this year. We've got 3 more years of podcast goodness sitting on our Patreon, so you are making away with a king's ransom for just $10. And if that's not highway robbery, I do not know what is. But also, if you want to stay and lend your monthly support to the hard-working crew behind all the shows we make, we certainly would not mind. 2026 is going to be our biggest year yet. We have planned massive seasons of My First Dungeon. We have all-star guests lined up for Talk at the Table, and we are even making a few new shows to add to your podcast haul. So please go to patreon.com/many-sided-media and rob us of everything we have ever made. And if enough of you do, next year's haul will be even bigger. Thanks for listening, and enjoy the show. Happy holidays, everyone. Christmas inches ever closer, and every day my present purchasing procrastination becomes perilouser and perilouser. Speaking of perilous, though, I just want to remind you that our next season of My First Dungeon, we're going to be playing Perils and Princesses. It is our longest season yet, and we have stacked the cast with some all-star players like Danielle Radford, Bridget Jeffries, Abby Hepworth, and Shenuk Tessera. We're hard at work in post-production land right now, but that series will premiere January 1st. But in the meantime, while I may not have all the gifts on my list checked off just yet, I do have some more gifts for you, dear listener. One of the biggest things we did this year at Many-Sided Media was add a bunch of spectacular new shows to the Many-Sided Network, and so I am giving you the gift of your next favorite TTRPG podcast. Let's open up the next little door in our podcast advent calendar. It's queeRPG. queeRPG is an actual play podcast by queer people and for queer people, and this is the first episode of their 3rd season, Lamplight Investigations, a thirsty sword lesbian steampunk noir. Let me just say that again. Thirsty Sword Lesbian Steampunk Noir. I know there are some of you listening who just got very interested in what I'm about to play. So come with me and follow these 3 investigators of Lamplight Investigative Services as a new case falls into their lap, pulling them into a tug of war between 2 cities.
It rains. It always rains. The city covered in a perpetual haze of rain, fog, and light pollution. The neon lights of late-night clubs and flashing advertisements push back the shadows along the streets of Nova. They find their solace in back alleyways and darkened stairwells, under eaves and in secret rooms. They flee from the jaunty music that can be heard as a door to a nearby bar opens, or from the screeching of a racing trolley as it makes one last round for the night. The flashing lights and squealing sirens of an enforcer's car echo through a street somewhere. The large clock tower, light from within, displays the late hour of 2 in the morning. And at 2 o'clock in the morning, the shadows have to find some place to play. Running from the light, they spiral toward the Golden Mile, flying across the deck, evading the stagnant spotlights that shoot into the sky along its length. They flit under the guardrails and down the piles, dropping into the bridge neighborhood of Cipher City. They live and breathe here much more safely than in Nova. The street lamps here flicker more than they glow. The trolley tracks, long forgotten, damaged, twisted in on themselves. Shadows live here. Yet, so do people. Someone stumbles out of a bar with a neon pink sign that reads circus, the S having broken away and turned upside down, boots splashing through the puddles that have collected in the broken cobblestone. The rain beats down on a corner building, as it does on all buildings. There is a bright yellow glow from a street lamp that seems to be hanging on better than the rest, that creates a circle of golden light across the ground in front of the door. You can see high up near the bulb that some hacking has been done, attaching a contraption that is missing from the surrounding lamps, most likely the cause of its longevity. There is nothing about this building that sticks out. It seems to blend in with the many others on the street. Brick and iron and brass all set together to create the semblance of something sturdy, though the facade is easily washed away by further inspection. A boarded-up window, the jiggly knob on the front door, the water stains across the interior hallway ceilings. On the 3rd floor, behind a door with a frosted glass window, with golden lettering that reads Lamplight Investigative Services, a knock rings out. And then again, and then a loud meow. JJ, when you decided to spend the night on the couch, as you often do, you did not expect to be so unceremoniously awoken. But you startle awake in the dark room. Atlas, can you describe JJ for us?
I think as she hears this, she falls out of bed, and there is a 5'3" lump of blue trying to jostle out of the blankets. She's in her pajamas, which are just a pair of probably like rainbow striped pants with a drawstring, and then a random like old ratty t-shirt. Her orange and pink hair is askew, and she's like trying to straighten it and trying to get it around the horns, her 2 black horns that jut out from her head. And she wipes the sleepy seeds from her green eyes and just, 1 second. And tries to make herself look nice, pulls a robe or a coat from the coat hook.
There's another knock.
Right there. Sorry. I think she's trying to look around for the time, because maybe she overslept, or maybe this person's gonna rob her. She doesn't know.
I think you can see that though there's not a window in this part of the interior office, there is in the smaller office in the back, and through that open door, you can see that it's still quite dark outside. The only light coming through the underneath of the door into the hallway.
And she straightens her stuff one more time. All right, well, she'll open the door.
A woman stands just outside the door. A long maroon raincoat buttoned up to her neck. She has hairpin curls in her blonde hair, but you can tell that they aren't as set as they should be. Her skin is light blue. Her lips have been painted a bright red, and she is shaking the water off of a black checkered umbrella, the wooden curve handle curled around her black gloved hand. And for a moment, she almost seems to not realize that you have opened the door as she watches the rainwater drip from the umbrella onto the floor, darkening the carpet.
Good time. How may I help you?
She kind of startles. Oh, sorry. Forgive me. She peers at the lettering on the door that's open now. I am in the right place, correct?
That kind of depends. What place are you looking for?
Well, it's just... You don't quite look like I thought Mama Amoretta would look.
Oh, no, I'm not. But you are. Yes. So she will be here during our normal business hours. I'm just here for paperwork.
Oh, yes, certainly. Again, forgive me for the hour, but I really must speak with her.
Come in. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I'm being so rude. Please come have a seat. We could have tea. I do have to plug in our... It's just not... there's a horror team when you open somewhere, and you open it, and you, plug in everything, and you do this. And so if you just give me, 10 minutes, I'll be all situated, I promise. And I think JJ does not wait for an answer. She just kind of closes the door behind the person and starts, doing the morning... opens the blinds, plugs in the coffee maker... turns on the, everything, and is just lights, and puts on, a little bow tie, just to be okay, at least I'm, more presentable. And this is all happening in front of this, talking in the mirror, just full, okay, you got this, nothing shakes us, all right. So you were looking to speak to Mama Amoretta?
Yes, please.
If you have a seat, it'll be one moment.
Okay. She looks over at the couch that you have not yet made and kind of uncertainly sits on the arm of it. Just crosses her leg.
I think I'll start putting on, a pair of rain boots. Just one moment, stay right here. I will be right back.
Oh, okay. Certainly.
I'm so sorry. Could I borrow your umbrella?
She looks at you and she says, you could, but, would it not be swifter to call her? And she points over to the phone that is sitting on the, secretarial desk in this room.
Okay, well, here's the thing. So Mama has children, thus Mama. Well, I think she'd choose it anyway, but that's not the point. And it's a little bit late, and I just, calling it that, I don't want, the whole house. But it is, you're right, it is important, it's urgent, but...
She holds out her umbrella to you.
Thank you. I'm so fast. I'm the fastest runner that you have ever seen, unless you've seen really fast runners. Opens the door, starts just huffing it.
You begin your trek in the rain, your rain boots sloshing through the puddles in the cobblestone streets, umbrella kind of whipping in the wind as you dash with it. You're taking yourself over to where you believe Mama Amoretta is, where she lives, her home. It's not too far from the detective agency, a few minutes, especially with the speed that you're taking yourself at. And you knock on the outside door to the home. Mama Amoretta, where are you? What is your current state of being?
So, since it's 2 a.m. and Amoretta has some free time, she's probably has spent pretty much the entire night poring over what notes she has about Dimitri's disappearance. And there's just a glass of wine. It's probably barely a sip left in there. and a bottle set out as well. She kind of looks a bit tired around the eyes and everything. Her hair, which is normally up in a bun, her dark loose curls that have bits of gray in them, as she's 50 years old now, and she looks great for her age, but it's starting to show a little bit that her age is catching up with her. And she's wearing kind of like the classic Victorian nightgown almost. So, if this was in the dark somewhere, you might mistake her for a ghost, perhaps. So she hears the knock, and she'll get up and stretch her tired legs a little bit and try and crack her aching back and go and open up the door and see who's knocking at this hour.
As you pull the door open, you see a bedraggled, wet, even with an umbrella, JJ, looking nervous and barely awake and anxious.
JJ, baby, what you doing out all the way out here so late?
Some people could even say that it's early, and really, I'm just getting a start on the day. I'm not, but that could be what is happening. Anyway, there's someone at the office, and they need to speak with you, and I didn't want to call in case I woke everybody up, but now I'm just realizing that I had to knock on the door anyway, so really, I didn't really save anybody that much, grief or time or anything. So, would you mind, giving me a ride back to the office and also coming to the office? Because there's someone there.
Of course I can, JJ. It ain't no problem, but both my kids are grown now. You could have just called. Ain't nobody here but me. Especially at this hour.
Well, that is such a true statement.
You know what? Let me get you a change of clothes. You're wet. You might catch a cold. Hold on real quick. Let's make sure you get dry first, and then I'll get you on a drive back to the office.
Promise we would be there super fast, and actually, randomly.
I'll bring you change of clothes so you can change at the office.
Okay, thank you.
She's gonna kind of get dressed a bit quick. She's just gonna kind of throw on the vest and throw her skirt over her nightgown because it's really early. She's not gonna try and do the whole change and throw her coat on, grab her cane, and make sure she goes down to Yarrow's closet and pulls out some clothes that she knows is JJ's size, and she'll just kind of gesture for JD to follow her out to the vehicle, and so that they can head back to the office.
You climb into the front of this fairly well-kept yet old, black with brass trim on it, car, and you start it and it putters to life as you switch on the windshield wipers to rid the windshield of rain, and you drive back to the detective agency offices. Joe, what have you been doing this evening?
Joanna is in her apartment. She's actually just rolled over in her bed, where she is not there alone. This was fun, yeah? She rolls completely out of the bed and starts to get dressed, takes a dress off of the floor, and hands it to the lovely woman that she took home from the circus.
I'm getting a quite obvious hint in this moment that we're done here.
Oh, well, I have a lot of work to do. There's this coffee machine that I've been trying to fix. I brought it home from work. It's not really, it's really driving me crazy that I can't get just a single decent cup of coffee at the office, honestly. But, would you like a cup? I was just about to try brewing it again.
Do you want me to stay and have a cup, or do you have a lot of work to do and want me to leave?
Well, I could give you a to-go cup if you wanted.
I think I'll pass on the coffee.
All right. She takes a pocket watch out of her trousers that she's just kind of shrugged on. I guess 3 o'clock in the morning. It's actually quite a good time to start drinking coffee, if you really think about it. Early start to the day. But I understand if you don't want to stick around. It's really nice to meet you.
Yeah, I guess it was. I think I'm still a little hazy from the drinks.
That's right. Actually, I am going to brew you a cup. And then she goes over to one of the only other furniture pieces in her room, which is a gigantic work table. And it has all sorts of gadgets on it. a lot of them are taken apart, broken, or they're just bits and bobs, pieces of things, coils, gears, light bulbs, plugs. And she takes this sort of amorphous shape out of the center of it, and there is a coffee pot on it. So I guess you can assume that that's the coffee maker. And she fiddles with it for a little bit, gets some beans out from somewhere under the table, and pours the grounds in. All right, okay, so if I did this correctly, and she presses a button, and a terrible grinding noise occurs. Oh, shit. Okay, water. Water is we need that for this part. She runs over to her sink, grabs some water in a dirty wine glass, and pours it into the coffee maker.
The woman has kind of like started to pull the dress on, but when that sound happens, like swiftly covers her ears and then continues dressing.
Sorry about the noise. I'm trying to fix that. I can't get past it, honestly. I'm so sorry. Genuinely. Fiona?
Yes?
Joe, like, breathes a sigh of relief because that is her actual name. I'm so sorry about that. I don't really have any sugar or anything like that.
I don't necessarily know how, these gadgets work when they don't look like a normal coffee pot, so I wasn't necessarily certain it was working anyway.
I think it is, actually. She, like, peers down to look into the coffee pot, and there is a liquid in there that is brown. Joe pours this liquid into a mug for Fiona and hands it to her hastily, still in bed. Here you go.
She takes a sip of it, and you just see her entire face contort in, like, this bitter, sour look. I think it's not necessarily fully functioning.
Damn. I'm really sorry about that. Yeah, I haven't really quite figured this one out. It seems to be an ancient model. Perhaps I could build something from scratch that would work a little better. But thank you for testing it out for me.
I'm glad I could be of service. This woman looks so confused. It's so early. There was an expectation from her that she would at least get a little bit of sleep, and has been unceremoniously kind of boosted up out of the bed, out of the apartment. And so she's pulling her shoes on, which are heels that are not well fit for the slick stones of the roads. But she does at least have an umbrella. And she stands up and she goes, could you help me? And she kind of turns to show you the zipper on the back of the dress.
Joe is still tinkering with the coffee maker. She kind of, like, has to make the decision to abandon it. Yes, yeah, absolutely. Of course, yes. And she goes over and zips up Fiona's dress. Oh, I actually have something for you.
Oh, okay.
She looks under her bed and digs out what seemed to be, like, almost like flat pieces of metal. Actually, if you would just simply lift your foot. And these pieces of metal attach to the bottom of heeled shoes to make them into, like, flat shoes. And so she screws them onto Fiona's heels.
Oh, that's kind of ingenious. Have you maybe thought of, like, branding that?
Branding?
Selling them?
Oh, no. These are gifts for, my friends. Exclusively.
I see. Well, I'm sure I will see you around at the circus.
I'll be there. Possibly later, actually.
I don't know if they're ever closed, to be perfectly honest.
My type of place. Well, Fiona, I don't mean to rush you, but I am quite excited to get back to work on making this machine something that actually produces a drinkable beverage. So, if you don't mind, I will be getting back to that.
Do you want these back?
No, they're for you. I have a whole bunch of them.
Well, thank you for the evening. I'll see you. And she walks through the a small, like, kitchenette part of the apartment and out the front door.
Jo does realize halfway through her exit that she has been a little rude and kind of like half runs after her to open the door for Fiona. And then as she passes, kind of takes her hand and gently gives it a kiss. No, thank you. I had a lovely evening. I don't want you to misconstrue me. I really did.
You're a little confusing on that front.
I don't believe an evening is any less lovely because it's short.
No, that's not what I meant. Good night. And she begins down the hallway.
Good night. Jo kind of like shakes her head. That was weird. What a confusing woman. And then goes and looks briefly in like a shiny piece of metal that is like her only mirror to see if like maybe her hair is messed up. It is, but in kind of a sexy way. Her hair is short, platinum blonde. She has very high cheekbones. She's quite tall, so she has to kind of lean over to look in this small piece of metal. Her eyes are hazel, but they are ringed by dark circles that kind of never go away. She examines herself, doesn't really know why Fiona would leave in such a state, and goes back to tinkering.
Mama Amoretta, you pull the car up against the broken sidewalk outside of the building that houses your investigative services. And you and JJ step out once more into the night rain.
She just showed up and knocked on the door, which I'm surprised that I woke up, but I did. And I was only there because we had to finish up paperwork from that other thing that we were doing the other day, that case.
She was gonna go unlock the office and everything.
You come into the room and you see this woman who has discarded her rain jacket. It's hanging up on the little coat hook near the door, and her umbrella seems to be hanging off of it as well. It looks like she has tidied the pillows and blankets that were on the couch to create a sitting space for herself, and it also looks like she'd finished brewing the tea that JJ had left on before she left. And you open the door and she kind of jumps and turns around with a teacup in her hand.
Mama will just kind of smile and be like, glad to see that you fixed yourself a drink. I would have done it myself if I was here, but...
Oh my gosh, I forgot. I totally let the tea... Oh.
You're all right, JJ. So I'm Mama Amoretta. It's a pleasure to meet you, although I don't quite know your name.
I am Rose Weatherby, and I sincerely needed to speak with you.
Well, Miss Weatherby, you could enjoy your tea for a moment, and I'll get to talk to you right quick and see what's going on. I just need to answer this call.
Of course.
And she'll go and grab the phone and be like, hello,
This is Mama Amoretta speaking.
Mama, it's Jo. I am at the apartment and I brought the coffee maker home. I know you told me not to, but I just had to get it fixed before the next morning. And I did! I'm telling you, I actually made a cup of coffee that is, like, potable. What are you doing there?
Currently, someone just came in to, I think, request our services at the moment. It's a little bit early, but, if we're needed. But if you want to keep working on my coffee
right
machine...
there.
Okay.
Absolutely, I will be on my way. And I'll bring it with me.
If it needs...
Okay, brilliant. Okay, talk to you later. Bye-bye.
all right, Jo, just be safe.
I think during that phone call, JJ sat down next to the woman and was just like, so actually, if you think about it, all doors are just windows that we can't see through. But if you made eyes that could see through them, everything could be a window. You ever think about that?
Not that exactly, no.
Okay.
Well, thank you for waiting with me as you have been. So sorry that you had to wait as long as you have. But given that it's a bit of a strange time to be visiting. May I ask what's so urgent about your business?
Of course. She's like patting out her skirt. She's crossing her ankles. Seems to be a little nervous, a little uncomfortable. JJ is sitting on this couch a little closer to her than she probably should be. She kind of slowly removes her gloves and places them in her lap and picks up her tea again. And sitting on like the little secretary desk in this public lobby of sorts for your guys' offices is the black hairless cat with the yellow eyes, Boomy, sitting on the desk, watching everybody's movement fairly intently. So again, my name is Rose Weatherby. I want to apologize for the hour in disturbing you, but I could not get away any sooner. The enforcers were conducting their investigation, and we were ordered to stay near in case they had any questions for us, so I was able to sneak away when I did, only upon a plea to see a dear friend in my grief, and instead I came here to seek your help. I need your help, and I can pay. She starts rummaging in this bag at her side. I can pay handsomely.
Payment isn't my main concern right now. My main concern right now is what you saw. What's this about enforcers and keeping witnesses nearby?
Yes, it's a bit of a long story. Outside you hear a motorcycle rev on the side of the street. And there's a bustling that you can hear pretty much all the way up the stairs from the bottom floor to the top as Joe kind of like takes them two at a time.
She wears like very heavy boots and is carrying this gigantic coffee maker, and you just hear like a string of curses like on every flight of stairs. Like,
JJ will be there to like open the door. Like, I'm ready.
oh, thank you, JJ. Does anyone fancy a coffee?
I think I'm okay with the tea.
Hello. I don't think I've had the pleasure of making your acquaintance. I'm Joanna Gilmore.
Yes, again, I'm Rose Weatherby. For you, Joe, the name rings a bell. Not Rose, but Weatherby. And as you're trying to place it, the woman says, I apologize to you as well, for waking you at this hour.
Oh, I was already awake. She sets down the coffee maker, like, onto the table on top of some papers, and then takes a seat, and her helmet's, like, tucked under her arm, and she puts it down by her boots. Why does Rose require our services?
Well, we were just getting to that business when you happened to walk in, so,
Right, that is... Mm-hmm.
Apologies, Miss Weatherby, if you're a bit overwhelmed by the company. I was going to warn you of another associate of ours coming in. I just, they're both rather quick.
It's all right. It's been an kind of uncomfortably wild evening, as it were, so might as well continue that way. So, to begin, you probably have heard of my mother, even if just in passing, Viola Weatherby. And I think kind of all of you probably have heard that name, but Joe more so. And it has been smattered across newspaper articles, educational journals, clockwork theories. She may not have been the most lauded of artificers in Nova, but she was definitely becoming a household name among those who spend their lives in the world of gadgetry. Well, earlier this evening, she kind of hiccups and pauses, and you watch as her eyes begin to water, and she struggles to compose herself.
Amoretta gets some tissues.
She thankfully takes them from you, and blots the corner of her eyes a little bit. Sorry, earlier this evening, her life came to an end. Prematurely. Violently.
Sorry.
Baby, I'm so sorry. Do you want a hug or anything? I'm gonna fix you another cup of tea, and I'm gonna get you some biscuits too. Hold on.
Amoretta goes, and like she has a little drawer in her desk of like little sweet treats and stuff, because kids might come in distress too. So she has like sweet treats, kind of for people to help them calm down and like get their mind off of stuff. Because even if it's like not gonna fix everything. Having a little bit of candy helps sometimes. So she's got like some little tea, like biscuits that are perfect for tea, like some shortbread cookies, and she just kind of presents it in front of Miss Weatherby, and so she can help herself.
Thank you. She takes one of the shortbread cookies. These actually do sometimes calm my nerves. She takes a little bite and the crumbles of it kind of fall into her dress and she pats them away. She was in her workshop, working late as she sometimes does. I wasn't there. The details are all conjecture I overheard by the enforcers perusing the scene. But I do have evidence to believe that her death was unanticipated collateral, and that whomever it was not actually after her. I have this, and she pulls out of a fold of her skirt. She pulls a small piece of wrinkled paper, and she hands it out towards you, Mama Amoretta. And when you take it, you notice that it is dirty and streaked with red that you conclude is most likely blood.
Is there anything on that piece of paper, or is it just the dirt and the blood stains?
It's folded a little bit, and you unfold it, and there isn't much written on it, but scrawled in a blue ink says, "They took the..."
Joe leans over, like, Mama's shoulders to read it.
JJ's on the other side.
What do they take?
Do you know if anything was missing from the lab, Miss Weatherby?
I don't know. I wasn't overly interested in my mother's work, and if it was something important enough that someone would kill for it, then I can only imagine that she would not have told me in the first place. So unfortunately, I don't know the contents of her office or what may have been.
You know anyone that would know for sure? Like a secretary or something, an assistant perhaps?
She did have an assistant that you may be able to get in touch with. Yes, sorry, his name was Arthur Winch.
Rose, would you say that you trust Arthur?
I wouldn't have any reason to not, but again, I didn't know him very well. It's one of those things in hindsight. I wish I spent more time knowing her work. He knew it much better than I did. I knew him by name and by face, and we met each other a couple times in passing, but they mostly worked together away from my home, so there wasn't much time for me to run into him often.
And how long did they work together for?
I think he's been her assistant for a couple years now. I actually want to go back and make a quick roll. I want Mama Amoretta to roll me the emotional support. When you offer someone support in a way that could be meaningful to them, roll heart or spirit.
I'm just gonna go with heart. That total would be 11.
If they open up to you, they choose one of the following, and you either choose one of the following or you take a string on them. So, you can clear a condition, which we don't yet have. You can mark an XP, an experience point. You can take a +1 forward, which means you'll add 1 to the next roll that you make. Or you can gain insight from me about an obstacle facing you.
I mean, the insight one, I feel like, especially given the circumstances. I guess perhaps like insight into this case, like what obviously like the enforcers being kind of really strict about this, but like what obstacles might stand in my way, because I recognize the name, but maybe I don't understand the full weight of that name as much as Joe does. And so with my out of character understanding of the weight of the name, there's what complications might arise from kind of investigating such a public figure's demise.
The way that she acts and the way that she carries herself denotes a type of wealth to you. If this is a private laboratory that has already been turned into a scene by the enforcers, one of the hardest things is going to be able to get your own eyes on the actual scene of the crime in this scenario. So you will most likely have to work a roundabout way. You may have to figure out, for instance, this new person, Arthur Winch, maybe befriend them. You're going to have to work a little bit harder on getting into the actual space this crime has taken place in. In terms of like what issues you may have with enforcers on such a high profile case, it will absolutely depend on what you actively choose to investigate. So if you choose to investigate the murder or the theft more seriously, will change how hard it is to be in the same vicinity and presence as these other people doing an investigation. You have in the past known that they don't like it when you step on their territory.
I think Mama is of the mind currently, knowing that this was probably a robbery gone wrong. If we find the thief, we're bound to find the killer, or at least more links to the killer, if nothing else. So I think the priority is finding out what was stolen and who might have stolen it and why and where they went.
He probably... I don't know how much she trusted him with personal inventions of her own making. A lot of the stuff that I know her assistants usually helped her with were simply like note keeping and garnering supplies. You would have to again talk to him.
Oh, I will.
Do you have any contact information for Mr. Winch at all that we might be able to use?
I don't have any on me, but I could probably find it for you.
That'd be really much appreciated. If you could come back another time with that information as well. We might also request some other information from you just to help our investigation as well.
Of course.
So sorry for your loss, because that sucks. I do have just like a couple paper, like just as like you're a new client, and so it's just like your phone number and our phone number, and it'll give you our card, and it'll take like 1 second.
It's just to make sure we can maintain contact with you when it's needed. Although if you prefer something a little more anonymous, we can work with that as well.
I would like to say that I assume you would understand discretion. I already had to sneak out.
Of course. Is there a mediator that you're comfortable with, perhaps, that you can stand in your stead if you're unable to show up? Anyone that you trust with this kind of information?
There actually is. May I use your phone and make a call?
Yes, of course.
And she walks over to the desk and starts to dial somebody's number.
Joe's pacing.
Well, we need someone's name just in the file. And we can have her phone number without her name, or we can have her name without her phone number.
That's the mediary.
If they say yes, but if she can, it's just I'm thinking about the cabinet. JJ's eyes dart to like this polished like metal cabinet. I just don't want us to get out of order.
Don't you worry. How visible is the phone from where we are now? Like, can we still see Rose?
She's just gone up to the desk, so you also can still hear her. She's just waiting currently for someone to pick up.
Could someone have seen the numbers that she dialed?
I don't think anybody was looking when she did that, so no. But you do hear her go, "Oh, thank goodness. I'm fine, Zeb. Let me speak. May I come stay at yours tonight?" "No, Zeb, it is not almost morning. I mean for the whole night. I'll explain when I arrive, but... Can I give this number?" "I said I'll explain." "Okay, thank you, and yes, through the back, like always, of course. Do you have a friend that you can use his number?"
Friend of blank.
She gives you the number that you can call and simply the name Zeb.
Is this a close friend of yours?
Probably one of my closest. It's one of those things where everybody knows that we're friends, but as long as it's not going directly through me, I...
But he can be trusted, is all. I'm wondering.
Yes. I think it has been clear in how I've dealt with this so far that we should keep our relationship as sparse as possible. I don't think that the rest of my family would enjoy more of an intrusion into their daily lives than has already been presented. And besides, in the next few days, we will be busy organizing her memorial and all of that. So I think it would be best to go through somebody else for the time being.
It's completely understandable. And if there's anything we can do to support you or your family for this loss, let us know too.
I will say that they don't know that I'm asking you this.
The enforcers.
Well, my family, but also them. I don't have much faith in them because I think they're going to come at this from the wrong angle because they have before.
Bloody right.
And I just am afraid they will again.
Before? What happened before?
Well, there have been a string of thefts, fuzzy stells, boodles, but no one was murdered during those, and they know what was stolen those times, so I fear that they're going to forego the possible connections to that for a murder investigation, and I don't think that's what they should be focused on.
This seems to me more like a robbery gone real wrong, real fast. So, and luckily, if we investigate it as a theft, we're not necessarily stepping on enforcer toes.
Rose, your mother, she was building quite amazing things.
I heard.
Is her workshop locked up? Is it being surveilled? Is it also safe?
I mean, it wasn't guarded in the sense that there was somebody sitting outside the door, but it was in a larger building with other laboratories and equipment, and I think as safe as any scientist thinks.
Is it locked currently?
Well, I don't think it's locked now because they were in there when I left.
Right.
She reaches into this little bag that she has, and she pulls out a key. You can use this to let yourselves in if you need to.
Joe takes the key with reverence and not a small amount of excitement. Thank you. I will keep this safe.
I think that you should see it yourself, but you should wait a little bit. I'm sure they'll be there all throughout the day tomorrow. But also don't wait too long, because then they will have removed evidence.
We'll try. Let's try tomorrow night and see if we can get in at some later hours, probably when, most folks are off resting. We can start poking about and see what was left behind. Hopefully the enforcers haven't moved anything around too much.
She kind of looks at this little teacup she has in her hand and takes the last sip and sets it kindly on the desktop. I wish I could tell you what it is you're looking for, but I know if she used her last moment to try to tell us that it shouldn't be in the wrong hands.
Center of the web, which when someone approaches you to get something from you or threaten you, choose one. And I would like to gain a string on this woman because I don't trust her.
I'll say that because you are viewing her as not an enemy necessarily, but not a friend, that this can be used that way. Do you require payment up front?
Well, depending on the customer, we can offer certain payment plans if that's what you prefer. But if you prefer to pay for services up front here and now, we are more than happy to accept that. Or if you would like to do a down payment and then 50% down, 50% once the job is done.
These are our most common, and JJ will pull out a binder and be like, so technically, because it's a last minute, you didn't know that something was going to happen, these are the things that we can offer. But if you really want to think about it, this is the most, in terms of the bang for your buck, this is the best. But it seems like tonight might not be the time for big decisions.
No, it's okay. I can do 50% now and 50% later.
That sounds good.
Excellent. Pulls out an old calculator with the paper on it.
She pulls out the coins called Oteza that are used as currency in the city, and they come in different sizes and different materials. and she hands over a coin purse of them that would equal the 50% amount that you are asking of her.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Miss Weatherby. Do you need any transportation to your next possible location? We can drop you off somewhere if you like. It's late and it's raining.
I'm concerned of keeping a low profile.
So not the motorcycle, then?
Oh, that probably would not be a good idea.
It is a black motorcycle. It is hard to see.
Well, I've also never ridden a motorcycle and it's raining.
It's actually a lot safer than people make them out to be. And she kind of side-eyes Mama Amoretta just slightly.
Yeah, up until the day you actually crash.
Joe's never crashed when I'm on it.
Never. While JJ has been on it.
Have you crashed when she hasn't been on it?
Have you crashed?
Oh,
No! Joe never crashed.
I don't think we need to discuss this at this moment. But the car?
That would be good if you don't mind, though. The place I am going is back in Nova City. It's a bit of a haul.
It's a good thing our coffee machine is working.
That's actually true. I did get it to start working. And Joe turns around and does a few little things and presses the button and some liquid does come out and it is brown. She kind of pours that liquid into the same teacup that Rose had and was like, I could drive her and perhaps you could review the coffee for me.
That's not even Mama's car, that's her husband's car. She kind of has an expression that just kind of screams, I don't know how to respond to this. She's very much on the fence about whether or not she's okay with it.
I don't want to cause any problems. I can make my way.
Oh, no, don't worry, sweetheart. So long as it's not a scratch on it, when it comes back, you can drive the car this one time.
Joe grins.
And make sure you don't get pulled over, because we do need discretion. Don't drive too fast. It's raining and it's dark out.
Yes, Mom.
Don't get pulled over.
Yes, Mom. Joe does one little yes movement sort of thing behind Rose's back and then sticks her tongue out at JJ.
JJ just mouths I was here first. Sticks her tongue out back.
Rose begins to pull her gloves back on, slides her jacket up and over her shoulders, leaving it unbuttoned this time, and kind of just lets her umbrella hang slack at her side. And she looks back at all of you as Joe kind of comes up next to her to leave and says, Thank you. I know this is your job, but thank you.
Mr. Weatherby, I'm always happy to help folks out. And if you need anything else or something else happens, do not hesitate to reach out. Let us know as soon as possible, okay?
She nods, and she turns to follow Joe out of the office of Lamplight Investigative Services. Rose follows you down the stairwell to the outside, and you can see that the rain hasn't stopped, but it has let up a little bit. And you can see the car sitting under the lamppost that you climbed up one day and made work again.
Before Rose can even notice that it has left her hand, Joe has taken her umbrella, opened it, and is holding it out over her head. After you.
Thank you. And she kind of steps out the door, and you follow along with the umbrella to the car door.
I unlock the door and open it for her and offer her my hand to step up into the vehicle.
She takes it, but you notice it's not in a way that women usually take your hand when they're into you. She takes your hand like she has done this 1,000 times before. That somebody has always offered their hand to her to get into a vehicle. Thank you.
You're welcome. And Joe closes the door and kind of kicks her heels together a little bit as she walks to the other side of the car, because if there is one thing that Joanna Gilmore knows it is a rich bitch, and she knows that this woman has a lot of money and is very used to money. She gets in the car, starts it, and it makes kind of an awesome noise. Jo always listens to the noises that gadgets make when they start up. She runs her hand kind of over some exposed dials that tell of the gas, the oil, etc., the other things that make the car run. Just admiring the machinery.
You hear a chuckle in the seat next to you, and she's kind of like pressed her hands a little nervously into her thighs, but is kind of like regarding you out of the corner of her eye.
Is something amusing you?
It's just kind of funny how you can spot a person who likes to take things apart from a mile away.
I like to know how things work.
I grew up around that a lot.
Did you? Well, obviously. Did you inherit any of it?
It was never for me.
Taking things apart?
Yeah, not really something I was ever interested in.
More of a surface girl, perhaps.
I think that's some sort of description.
Well, towards Nova then.
Yes, if you get us across the bridge, I can direct you further.
Righto. And Jo can't help but a tiny little smirk as she starts to drive the car in the direction of the bridge. Jo immediately turns that off.
She doesn't comment on the change, but she kind of just stares out the windshield, watches the rain go as you go by, looking at the streets of Cypher that there doesn't seem to be a lot of organization to if you're not from there.
Jo kind of nods her head in Rose's direction without taking her eyes off of the road. My apologies. I am not a fan of background noise.
And perfectly fine with not listening to anything.
So, have you been here before?
Sorry,
Is that funny?
no. It's funny because it's not usually something someone would ask me.
Because you're a Nova girl.
Because I think I quite obviously don't fit in here.
You're not wrong. But there's many reasons why people like you might come over the bridge or under it. But you've never had a reason.
Until now.
I am sorry about your mother. They are complicated creatures, are they not?
You seem to have the right adjective for everything.
I enjoy words.
As much as you enjoy gadgets.
Not quite. But I did quite well in school, and the gadgets were my own passion. The words came from education.
Well then, let me describe your offices as odd. I just don't think it's what I expected when I was told to come here.
How was it described to you? What words did they use?
There wasn't really a description. It was a name and a place. It was just not what I had made up in my head.
It's good to know. And how would you describe what you imagined?
Darker. One person who didn't talk a lot.
Right, so you met JJ first?
Yes.
Yes.
It was a whirlwind of, a knock on a door, though I can't really blame her. It was 2 a.m. and I had awoken her from sleep.
Oh, I'm sure she was awake.
I don't think she was, seeing as she opened the door, vigorously rubbing her eyes in the dark in her pajamas.
Whirlwind is a good word for JJ, actually. Joe wonders for a moment if JJ only stays up all night when Joe is also there. Because in her mind, both of them never sleep. And that's why she assumed that JJ would be awake, and this kind of makes her reconsider for a moment. Well, I suppose everyone needs to get their rest on occasion. But tell me, who sent you to us?
A friend. And she kind of smirks.
Your close friend.
Not Zeb, no. Just a friend.
Right. I suppose you are allowed some mysteries.
One that doesn't pertain to what I've asked you to investigate, I think is appropriate.
Oh, darling. Joe puts only one arm on the wheel and sort of like turns towards Rose. Unfortunately, what you will learn is that everything will have to do with the investigation. Once something like this happens, your whole life could be a thread. Everything starts to seem more of a web than you ever had imagined before. And she turns back to the road.
You drive through the bridge and out of it, actually, to get to the entrance of the Golden Mile. It's an open road. There aren't any guards for it. It is free movement between the cities of Nova and Cypher. It is simply... there's not often a lot of traffic that way. So you're the lone car on the road currently, and you pull up onto the bridge and begin a bit of an ascent out of Cypher, because there's a bit of a rise. Cypher is lower placed in the earth than Nova is. About halfway across bridge she goes, just out of the blue. I suppose I'm an orphan now, though it's strange to think oneself an orphan when an adult.
Isn't that interesting? We always imagine orphans as tiny little boys with empty bowls, but it could happen to all of us. And honestly, if life goes as planned, we all end up orphans, don't we? I'm sorry. How did you lose your father?
He died a few years ago of medical issues, nothing. He often said that our mother was the interesting one out of the two of them. She left this world the same way, I suppose. With intrigue.
Again, Rose, I'm going to tell you that everything has intrigue. But I'm glad that your father died in a more peaceful manner. Nobody deserves what happened to your mother. I want to assure you that we will do everything in our power to find out what happened to her.
As I've paid you, I hope that's the case. But we shall see if you can. It's less of a... let's just say I have faith that you'll try. And I hope for myself and for you all that you do.
Joe kind of knits her brows together. We will. That's what we do. Might I ask... She sort of thinks for a moment. Is there anything else? Anything you can think of that might not have seemed important? Anything that your mother mentioned that she was working on? I know you said you weren't privy to her machinations, but was there anything, an overarching goal that she was working towards? Something big, for lack of a better word?
I mostly didn't hear about anything she was working on until they were in the news, till they were public. I think in the last few months she has seemed more excited than usual, but I never asked her because it wasn't something we ever talked about.
Joe kind of looks out of her own window. Never. What a shame.
I agree.
Well, which way are we headed?
Of course. And she directs you off of the Golden Mile and to the more eastern part of Nova till you get to a street that she asks you to turn down. She directs you down the street called Tullerhagen and up to the back of like a rounded abode. And what's interesting is it's not that the streets in Cypher City aren't named, it's that it doesn't usually matter, you just know how to get around. The streets here, they have like these kind of beautiful gilded signs that have the name printed on them. So it almost catches you by surprise that you even clocked what the name of the street was as you turn down it. But you stop outside this home, it seems, and she says, Zeb is a good friend. They're a bit of a riot at times. We're in many ways opposites, but any message you get to them will get back to me.
I would love to meet them.
A door at the back of this building punches open into the dark night, and you see, like, silhouetted by a light from above is this, like, tall, like, gangly individual with short, spiked, bright red hair and these, like, long tusks that, like, sit on the outside of his lips. And he has on this, like, kind of larger linen shirt that's opened a few buttons at the top that is not tucked into pretty, like, baggy linen pants as well, and no shoes on. You see that there are, like, rings all over this person's fingers. They look out, and they kind of, like, narrow their eyes into the dark, and then they cross their arms, just wait in the doorway. Well, that's him. I guess you should meet so he knows who he's talking to. If you don't mind getting a little wet again.
Joe has already gone around to the side of the car, is opening Rose's door, offering her her hand, has the umbrella open once again. I am truly excited to make his acquaintance.
Well then, she kind of shuts the door as you walk away. You walk up, and as you do, he kind of, like, rolls his shoulders back and changes weight on his feet.
Hello. Zeb, is it? She extends her hand.
Looks at you. Looks at Rose. Zeb, I said I would explain. This is Joanna.
Joanna Gilmore. Very nice to meet you.
He puts his hand out, grasps yours, does the test of, like, your integrity by how good your handshake is.
Joanna also wears a handful of rings, and so when they shake hands, their rings clack together.
And he, like, holds it, and then, like, turns it over, and, like, looks at all of your rings, and then lets it go and crosses his arms, and he goes, nice to meet you.
Likewise.
I think.
Oh, well. So Rose told me that you are going to be our point of contact for her during this investigation, which I'm sure actually...
what? Yes, exactly.
Yes. Rose, I was hoping that you had informed our dear friend a little bit more than you had, but...
I didn't want to do it over the phone.
Obviously, you have a lot on your mind, so perhaps we go indoors and...
Are you inviting yourself into my house? Is that what's happening right now?
I am. Yes, that is what I am doing.
All right, at least you're honest about it.
I am nothing if not forthcoming.
Gives you, like, a two-finger okay, like, over, like, just, like, a wave, like, yeah, whatever, as you guys go inside.
This episode is brought to you by Hero Forge. There is no better gift for a gamer than a custom miniature of their beloved TTRPG character. So this holiday season, take the guesswork out of gift giving and treat your players to a digital gift card to Hero Forge. Hero Forge offers fully customizable tabletop miniatures with dozens of fantasy species and thousands of parts to choose from, all within your browser. You can make minis in a variety of materials, including premium unpainted plastic and color standees, and they even offer downloadable model files so you can 3D print your unique designs at home. And for the dice lovers in your party, never fear, Hero Forge has you covered with their custom dice, which lets you put your hero inside the very D20 that will help lead you to glory. Visit HeroForge.com to send your players a digital gift card and let them build the heroes of their dreams.
Sanguis Populi, the blood of the people, the dark protectors of the hidden city of Ozerod, deep within the illusory forest. Familiar with death as they have eluded it, they are called upon for a desperate task: slaying a creature from the great beyond. Blythe.
This might not be easy. Being surrounded by death. I don't understand how they can do it.
Elvira.
Someone must watch the bodies, and none do so as diligently.
Swan.
Into action so fast. I love when we get to go out.
It came from the sky. This great, pale monstrosity.
You just had to sate your hunger. You couldn't have saved it for the beasts.
I prefer the gratuity.
Vampirism is not immortality. It only prolongs the inevitable. Is this the end for Sanguis Populi? Blood in the snow. A tale yet told. Halloween 2025.
Sorceress, lower the barrier for just a moment. Sanguis Populi departs.
Listen to Tales Yet Told wherever you get your podcasts.
As soon as the door closed, JJ would turn around. I don't trust her.
Okay. Care to explain your reasons as to why?
Well, she mentioned that there were break-ins, and that is why she thought that it was a break-in and not a murder. But didn't she say that she didn't know if anything was missing?
That's true. I think she specified she didn't know what specifically was missing. If she's not interested in the lab, I doubt she knew what the hell's in there, but we can also reach out to this Arthur fella. And if his story doesn't align with what she was saying, we have more reason to be suspicious, but I think for now...
Why was she there? She's not close with her mother. She's not interested at all in her work. Why was she even there to be held by the enforcers in the first place? And also, she's from Nova. Why does someone from Nova not trust the enforcers?
I think it is a bit odd, given that this is a high-profile individual. We have a reason to be suspicious, but right now I don't think we have much to act on that suspicion beyond investigating. We've already been told to investigate and seeing whether or not, JJ, that you're right, or whether or not we figure something else out and see that Rose was speaking from the heart.
She gave me a bad feeling. And I ran, too. I don't run for just anything.
Well, I'm not necessarily doubting your suspicion. You pose a lot of good points, JJ, but, still, this is a person in hellbound. We can look into whether or not these robberies have been happening up in Nova. If that was a lie somehow, then that makes it more suspicious, but these robberies have been happening. There are, unfortunate times where robbery can get way more violent than any party expected. So we can't rule out that possibility either.
If you're rich and trying to get rid of your even richer mother, and there's a bunch of robberies happening around you, and you kill your mother trying to frame it as a robbery, If the enforcers are investigating it as a murder, or not as a robbery, then that throws your entire, I guess, alibi out of the window? So who would you go to? Not the enforcers, because they always already believe it's a murder. Also, would you ever let me drive your car?
JJ, I mean, I'll let you drive it if maybe next time I'm in the passenger seat. I already feel awkward about having Joe drive it.
Deal.
Boomy jumps off the desk onto the floor and, like, slinks over to the couch and starts to lick up the crumbs from the shortbread cookie that Rose had brushed off of her skirt onto the floor.
That's not good. Oh, God. And I would argue that Boomy thought that the vibes were off, too.
Boomy, did you think the vibes were off?
See?
Jumps up onto the back of the couch and kind of crawls up, like, to lay behind where JJ is sitting.
I'm not doubting you, JJ. Amaretta's gonna start cleaning up the shortbread cookies and, like, the tea.
JJ will hop up and help.
I'm not doubting your suspicions, JJ, but either way, if we want to confirm whether or not we're being deceived here, we have to still investigate it, at the very least Arthur, and see what he has to say about the whole situation, considering he probably knows more about it. And, well, we could talk to some enforcers about it, although I'm not particularly fond of such an idea. As, you know, discretion was advised here. But I understand your suspicions, and I'm not too keen on getting framed for murder either, if that's what's going on.
I agree, though. As usual. It's your business. You know a lot about it.
Yeah, well, you know, you gotta learn stuff quick in my situation. Still don't know everything I probably need to know.
We'll learn it, though.
I hope so. I think in the meantime we should probably be looking at this string of thefts and seeing if there is a connection, if other gadgets particularly were being stolen at the Nova, or if this is totally unrelated. And then also planning for tomorrow night's investigation as well, I think, is important for us to be working on. I know it's early, but might as well get started on the day since we're up and about. You want me to fix you some breakfast, by the way, or I can just go over and get some?
I think you're absolutely right. It has been a very exciting morning, and to be quite honest, after the coffee that Joe made, I don't think I'll ever sleep again.
I'm not sure if that's a good thing, JJ.
I'll get a head start. Maybe I could head to Izzy's. They might know something about robberies. Not because they're doing the robberies. You know that. Tara, you know.
That might be good to look and see. As well, ask around, see what people have heard.
Word on the street. And I think JJ's like halfway on with the like rubber boot and then like looks down, hasn't changed out of her pajamas. I'm gonna... And she'll look at like the pulled out bed and like walks over to start folding it up. I'm gonna go home to change.
But I already have clothes that I brought.
Yes. I don't have any clothes in the office.
Amoretta's not going to comment, but she knows exactly where JJ's clothes are in the office.
In the back of this office, so we have seen the lobby portion of this, but in the back, Mama Amoretta has a smaller, like, personal office where she'll sometimes take clients from her private meetings. She has a desk, a few filing cabinets, there's a window in the back.
I want to see if there's any public records on Arthur and Viola and what they had most recently been working on, or like what they might have been hinting towards. Either both of them, because both of them would have more than likely had that information on hand. So any public statements like that.
I think in one of the cabinets, she keeps a collection of newspapers that have come out and that she has collected. And so I think you take some time in these early hours of this morning to kind of sift through them.
Especially if someone's going through any archives or anything that we have, JJ's going to be right on it.
You come upon a couple articles. One of them was talking about like a grant that the Weatherbys had created for the students of Arcadia. One of them was about an unveiling of a specific project, but not actually about the project itself. You come across an article then in a subsequent paper about what was called a hydro-riveted cartridge, and it seems to be some sort of upgraded part that is used in the creation of... Inserting this part into a machine means that it will run on boiling water rather than needing to be connected to like a larger steam engine. So it's for smaller gadgets to make them more efficient and usable in a home. But that seemed to be like a pretty massive, for something so small, seemed to have a lot of fanfare about it. So whether there are more implications of it, this article doesn't necessarily say. And then you come across an article about some sort of symposium that has yet to happen, but that Viola Weatherby was supposed to be like a main speaker at, with some sort of new technology that she had been seemingly working many a year upon. And that everybody was fairly excited to see what she had in the works.
So that might be the first thread Amoretta might really look into, is the symposium. What was Viola going to speak about? Was there anyone at the university who knew for a fact what she was going to speak about, or was that pretty much kind of, oh, she's going to reveal it at the speech, and even then, like, I feel like they might have some information on when that speech was going to happen and like what they were expecting at that speech, because there's stuff that usually needs to be approved and all of that jazz.
While JJ, you're helping, you find a couple things too, but more along the lines of the name instead of like actual Viola, but more of the name of Weatherby. You find an obituary for a man named Lemuel Weatherby. The obituary reads something along the lines of, beloved husband of known inventor Viola Weatherby, and beloved father of Rose and Delia Weatherby, has unexpectedly passed due to a malfunction of his heart. You have kept and organized newspapers for like a fairly ridiculous amount of time. You find one from like about a decade ago talking about the coming of age of one Rose Weatherby and like introduction into society and marital options. There's nothing specific in the sense of like she's absolutely going to marry these people, but you see last names of people who seem to be coming up in the same year or a couple years prior. Of Lovegrove is one of the names you see. Boodle is one of the names that you see. And Luck with an E at the end.
Mama, did Rose mention that she had a sibling?
No.
In the obituary for her father, 1, it says malfunction of the heart, which, sketchy. 2, mentions Adelia as at least one of her father's children.
So then I guess we will just have to ask first about Delia, and how Delia's taking all of this and gauging that reaction.
Or we could talk to Delia first.
It's also very true, but we need to figure out where Delia is and if she's willing to talk. Because remember, Rose mentioned that she didn't let any of her other family know about this, so that might complicate things.
But if we were hired by somebody to investigate the robberies...
That's fair.
Then we don't have to drop names, and... I mean, she might tell us to take a hike, but she might tell us to take a hike if we're investigating her mom's murder.
And in the meantime, we can also, if we can, get into contact with her as soon as possible, try and ask around about those robberies and see what's been taken, or if anything's been taken at all, and that robbery story was just a cover-up.
What do you think malfunction of the heart means?
I mean, I imagine complications with the heart. Maybe there was like, I might have to ask one of my brothers about that. He might know a bit more than I do. I imagine it's just like a heart attack that couldn't get fixed or something, but it could also have been like some machine parts that were stuck in there. I don't really know if that's possible.
I haven't read every newspaper that we have, but sometimes when Joe's over, there's nothing to do, I've perused and I've seen complications, I've seen heart attack, I've seen malfunction.
Well, I'll reach out to my brother Antonio then and see what he knows about malfunction specifically.
I hope Joe isn't out all night.
Just hope I get the car back in top shape, which I'm sure is going to happen because Joe is definitely responsible with things like cars. She better be, anyways.
This seems like a structure that somebody would live in. You felt like you were in like a neighborhood type of area when you pulled in, but it feels like you're walking down a utility hallway, but pushes open a metal door at the end of it. All right. It's early in the morning. Just be quiet. Okay. Just be quiet. People sleep.
Of course, but, just for my research, which people are we not trying to wake?
My boarders, okay?
You have boarders here? Do you do background checks on your boarders?
You're pushy.
I apologize. We just have sort of a sensitive situation here.
I understand, so be quiet until we can talk.
Fine.
He opens the door out of this like utility hallway, and you enter into this massive kitchen. There seems to be like multiple ovens, multiple stoves, like a massive countertop in the center of it, pans and appliances just hanging from the ceiling to be used, already seemingly polished. They kind of glint in the light from this hallway, but the interior of the kitchen is mostly dark. And he leads you through that, over to the left, down another corridor, and opens a doorway, and there are a narrow set of stairs going down, and he begins down them, and Rose follows after and kind of leaves you at the top to make your choice.
She puts her hand unconsciously on the dagger that she keeps on her hip, feeling a little uncertain of going in such closed quarters, but then she follows them.
Zeb reaches the end of the stairs first. There's a light at the end of the stairs that is like this old... It gives off an old warm glow, and you can kind of hear a buzzing as it's turned on, like it's not quite connected as well as it should be. You get to the bottom, and you see open in front of you this like beautifully furnished lounge area. There is this magnificently maroon plush couch laid out, the edges of which are like gilded in like a gold painted metal of some sort. There is this ornate glass table with a couple chairs set out. You step down onto it from the stairwell, and your boot like goes into the carpet deep, like it's so thick and rich. And Zeb like kind of flips himself onto the couch and just sprawls out. And Rose, once again, like you watch her kind of go through the process in reverse of removing her jacket before she stands. She doesn't sit, she stands, looking as uncomfortable as she's been this whole night, behind one of the chairs with her hands resting on the top of it.
Joe looks down at her boots, her own boots, that are just like caked in mud, and sees the mud has gotten on the carpet. She kind of looks up. I've stained your carpet.
It's fine, don't worry about it. And it will be cleaned.
By whom?
Roger.
Joe strides over to a very ornate chair and flops into it in a very, open, casual pose. You don't clean your own carpets, Zeb.
No, 'cause I've got Roger. Do you want to see him?
Perhaps at a later time. I was just telling Rose that in an investigation of this sort, every single detail becomes important.
All right, so that means you want to meet Roger. Cool. He grabs out of a drawer this little remote control, presses a purple button on it, and a door flips down in the back of this room. It is probably about 3 feet high. It is a rounded hull metal cap thing, and it sits up on a square box, and it has arms in the sense of metal contraptions that stick out from the side of it with different implements on the ends of them, and it begins to make its way across the carpet.
Jo immediately springs to her feet and kind of creeps towards it, but stays out of its way so that she can just watch how it moves, and gets as close as she can and observes and says, I am delighted to meet Roger.
Most people are.
Did Viola build him?
I doubt she built this specific model. I'm sure some of the parts she created were used in its production, but...
Yes, you can see here, actually, the metals, they don't match. You can see the line where it's been welded. She added on this little... It almost looks like a viewfinder, but perhaps it helps it find his way. It's a delightful addition.
Roger doesn't tend to run into things, so I'm sure this model was made with that in mind. She created something like that, didn't she, Rose? At some point? I think she did create something that is used in optometry a lot of the time. I don't know how it works. Maybe it can be used on machinery too. I wouldn't know.
Zeb, do you know anything about this invention? Anything more?
I do not know anything about how it works except that it cleans my carpet.
Alright. Fair enough. Zeb, are you going to keep Rose safe?
Usually do.
Do you? She sends a wicked look over to Rose. Is that your normal position?
No, she's my friend and I like my friends being safe.
Right. Of course.
Do you not like your friends being safe?
Jo sort of leans towards him, puts her hand on the back of a couch and says, I make sure that my friends are safe. Personally.
Cool. Very cool.
Zeb, I would love to know your relation to Rose. Truly. How did you meet?
Oh, yeah, I think I was 8 years old and I pushed her off a swing.
Childhood friends?
Indeed.
And you grew up around Viola as well?
I mean, I grew up around her in the sense that she was Rose's mom. Do you become best friends with your friend's parents? Is that your thing? I'm trying to figure you out.
No, I wouldn't say that. I actually never met any of my friends' parents. We all went to school together, but away.
They all died?
Away from our parents. Good God, you're dark.
And Rose kind of clears her throat and says, Zeb,
Has he always been like this?
Abrasive?
Yes.
Annoying?
Quite.
Asking questions he shouldn't?
Ah, I see. Now you are comparing us to each other. I did not get it until this point. You were saying?
Zeb, coincidentally enough, my mother is dead. Zeb, has been lounging, just so relaxed, and, very slowly moves his arms and legs and, sits back up on the couch and just stares at Rose for a length of time that's odd. And then, like, in a sudden rush of movement, he gets up and just grabs her into his arms and, like, sets his chin on the top of her head because he's much taller than she is. Just, like, holds her super tight. And you watch, like, her arms, like, kind of hang limp for a moment and then, like, crush into his back and grab his shirt and kind of crinkle it between her fingers.
Joe notes all of this, but doesn't speak for a while, until eventually the hug goes on for so long. She clears her throat and, like, scratches at the back of her short hair. I do apologize. I was under the assumption that you already knew.
He, like, releases a bit so she can step out of his grasp. I didn't really have any time to explain why I needed to come here this evening. She wipes her cheek.
Yes, you're completely right. That would be... Again, I apologize. For my lack of sensitivity. But you understand now, Zeb, why you must keep Rose safe.
So who are you?
Oh.
Besides Joanna Gilmore.
I am a detective. From Lamplight. Perhaps you've heard of us.
He gives a sideways glance to Rose that seems to say something to her that you can't quite get, and then looks back to you. You don't really look like an investigator.
Joe glances down at her outfit, which is a very open button down, many necklaces, trousers, and the aforementioned boots. I'm sorry, were you expecting a uniform?
I don't really know what an investigator looks like if they're not an enforcer, but I don't know, for some reason I was expecting a hat.
I would never wear a hat.
Oh, shame.
I do hope you will be helpful in this investigation.
Doing what?
I mean, honestly, anything that we ask of you.
That's a pretty high ask.
I have questions that I will need to ask you.
I'm a ferryman of information, right?
Yes, but you may also be holding information that you may not be aware that you are holding. Are you understanding me? Am I being clear?
He stares at you for a minute. Okay, give me a second. And he goes over to a dresser set and pulls open. You hear some tinkling and clinking, and he pulls out a fairly small, like probably between the size of like a normal tumbler and a shot glass, and he sets it up, and he turns around, he's like, do you want one?
Absolutely.
Pulls out another one, and then pulls out this liquid that looks almost cherry red in color, and pours about a finger of it in each glass, and then pulls out a bottle that is green. You can't see. It's obviously a dark liquid inside, but it's like a green bottle, and then he pours that on top, and you see it like swirl, almost like a smoke begins to rise out of it, and as he hands it over to you, it is like a fiery orange red of color now. Since we're going to chat, we should have a drink.
It's gorgeous. She takes the drink out of his hand and studies it and lightly stirs it with her pinky, allowing some of the liquid to get onto the ring that is there. And she waits a moment or two before slightly glancing down to see if the color of the stone changes. This is a gadget that Joe has hacked to detect traces of common poisons, and it does not change. And so she drinks.
Finally, Rose sits down and kind of just fiddles her hands within themselves. Oh, dear, do you want something? No, I'm fine.
Are you two secretly married or something?
No, that would be wild.
Joe drinks slowly from the glass. There's just a sort of, intensity to your relationship.
Rose just doesn't drink. So I wanted to know if she wanted something else to drink, and she doesn't.
Jo, glances between the two of them with her eyebrow raised. Doesn't quite believe. It's very hard for Jo to imagine, two attractive people who are close to each other that don't have a romantic relationship going on some level. So she's very suspicious of them. All right, so what have you sat me down to tell me?
I thought you had questions to ask me, so I sat you down so you could ask them.
Well, all right, if I must...
What type of investigator are you?
If I must be the one to push the conversation...
Well, I don't know what you need to know!
Anything that you think might be useful. Is there anything in your brain that you find useful?
I mean, I think a lot of things are useful. I think I know how to keep books. I think I know how to socialize with... I know a lot of shit. What do you mean? You gotta be more specific.
Jo glances over at Rose. Do you see this?
I mean, granted, you did ask me questions when we were back at your office.
Yes. JJ and Mama Amoretta are... Their protocols are a bit more standard than mine. So I shall ask you, Zeb, where were you when this was occurring? Which was... And she sort of gestures to Rose to fill in that information.
When this happened? Tonight?
Approximately what time?
Oh, it was about 11 p.m.
Zeb, where were you at 11 p.m.?
Well, you're not gonna like my answer, I don't think.
Was it alone? At home?
It was right here, as a matter of fact.
Wonderful. She pulls this tiny waterlogged notepad out of her boot and a pen from somewhere. If you were to read what she was writing, it just says Zeb dash suspicious question mark. Well, you're right. I don't like that answer, but if that is the truth, then we shall continue.
I feel like the fact that I wasn't trying to come up with an alibi should be a plus towards me.
I will note the pluses and minuses here. I will be the judge of the pluses and the minuses. Are you finished?
He makes a zipping his lips motion.
You do want to find the person who did this, correct? Why are you hesitating?
Well, because, technically you want to find him, and I want him to be found.
Are you really going to argue semantics?
You're just so easy to frustrate.
Jo downs the rest of her drink, and then just flicks the glass, slides it across the table towards him.
As you do that, it leaves, a streak, and he snaps his fingers. Roger?
Jo tries really hard not to look at Roger when he comes over.
As he comes over, there's a compartment on the side of the dome that slides open, and one of the appendages reaches in and pulls out a rag and then wipes the table with it and then discards it back inside, and it closes.
That's really cool, and Jo definitely watches that happen and kind of peeks in to see what that compartment looks like. Zeb, do you know of anyone who would want to kill Rose's mother?
Do you need names?
Names would be useful, yes, if you thought of anyone.
Yeah, well, I don't got any of those.
I would like to remind you that this is real and serious, and that this is the mother of your trusted friend, who I would imagine you had some love in your heart for. Now, is there any useful information that you can leave me with that I can take back to my colleagues that could lead us towards bringing justice to this woman, or do you just simply not care?
I think there's a difference between not caring and not knowing.
Fine.
He stands up, as you do, and they kind of cross their arms. For someone who, found out that a stranger's parent died in the last, hour or so, you seem pretty riled up about it. Isn't this, your job?
It would not be my job if I did not get riled up about it.
A lot of people should have your feelings about that. And I think a lot of people do. So possibly the better place, if you're taking your ire than against a friend of the person who just lost their parent, is to go see some inventors that worked closely with her. I don't know names. I don't know her that well. Rose wasn't even that close with her. But other people do.
Could you give me a starting point? I only know the two of you. Who should I ask first? That's all I'm asking, is a starting point.
I don't have names. I didn't keep up with, the people. And Rose kind of goes, Zeb, it's fine. If you can't find the names of the people that my mother was working with through Arthur or through articles about her, the only name that I even, kind of know that she had any significant relationship with is Zeke Emery.
She takes out her notepad. And how do you spell that?
Zeke Emery, Emory. He was the only one that my mother liked working with. They apparently did a lot in school together. I find it hard-pressed that he would kill her for anything. They had a working partnership that was off and on. There never seemed to be any animosity. But the Emerys are a family that go way back that we know. It's the only people I could think of, but that would be a wild starting point for you to have, and you would need more than what you have to gain access to them.
Thank you, Rose, for your cooperation, your information, and your company tonight. Zeb, good night. She turns and approaches the door and then turns back around. Do I need to be escorted out, or may I just find my way?
Yes, I'll come. And Zeb follows you back up the stairs and through the kitchen and out the utility hall. And when he opens the door, he goes, I'm sorry, we have to work together, so I'll be talking to you again.
I can hardly wait. But please, if you do think of anything, I know, you don't know anything. There is nothing in your brain that you wish to impart to me. I understand. But if anything, even remotely related, sticks in your brain, just call us, please.
Yeah, and if Rose needs you, or you need her, call me, so.
Yes. Tell Rose she can stop by any time. Good night.
And you walk out back towards the car, and when you sit in it, you realize that he's still standing in the doorway watching.
Joe gives him one final look and then starts the car and pulls away.
I think by the time that you are pulling back up at Lamplight Investigative Services, the light of the sky is beginning to lighten as much as it will with cloud cover, but you can tell that dawn is making its way into the world. You park, the street lamps themselves are kind of dimming as the sky brightens, and you climb back out. Back up to the offices where you see JJ and Mama Amoretta currently folding up newspapers that have been kind of spread out everywhere. JJ is reorganizing cabinets as you come back in.
Did you miss me?
Wait, what time is it? It's a record.
I promise I took very good care of the vehicle. And she holds out the keys and drops them into Mama's palm.
Okay, thank you. I'm gonna hold you to that. Make sure there's no scratch in there.
You know I would never leave a single scratch. I'm responsible.
Of course you are. Did you meet the contact? Did you learn anything from them? Anything new you learned at all?
Yes, I met the contact. He is quite insufferable. His name is Zeb. Quite a large man, childhood friend of Rose. They grew up together, but somehow neither of them are very close to the victim. After much cajoling, told us about Zeke?
Do I remember reading about Zeke?
There would have been some small articles listing him as, like, a partner on certain projects, but, like, a few, not... A lot of hers are her own and hers alone, but he's been seen as a partner on a couple of them. In what fashion, it is never clear.
Arthur and Zeke are folks we definitely need to reach out to, because they're probably going to have way more information on this case than we do. It's just... We're going to have to wait. We'll see if that ways to contact them in public manner, or... There was a symposium she was supposed to do, so I wondered maybe if Zeke or Arthur might end up taking that over instead, and we can reach out to them that way.
A symposium about her work?
He was supposed to be revealing the big project she'd been working on for years. Something about it just stood out to me.
That sounds like something that could potentially be stolen, if it was an invention, a gadget of some sort.
Especially when it seems like a pretty long, dedicated passion project.
I think we're on the right track. Rose did mention that her mother and Zeke had worked together for quite a few years, but off and on, she was convinced that there was no animosity or jealousy between the two of them, but I kind of find that hard to believe.
We don't know if that off and on was because they split apart to work on their individual projects, or if it was because of some falling outs that happened. But until we find out what that is, I think that is worth definitely at least suspecting him for now.
Joe goes and plops down by JJ.
What would you make of this? And JJ's gonna hand you the article with the malfunction of the heart.
She skims it. Malfunction?
That stood out to me, too.
Odd choice of phrase.
Also, did either of them mention a Delia while you were there?
Delia? No, not at all. And I asked them quite a few questions about anyone that I should know about. Who's Delia?
Delia's the sister of Rose.
A sister? She looks more carefully at the article. She never once mentioned a sister.
Not even when she...
No, she mentioned being an orphan, but she never mentioned a sibling.
Very strange. Delia is definitely someone worth looking into, at the very least. Either she knows way more than the others, or she's been ostracized to the point of knowing nothing.
Or she's dead. And that, in and of itself, I feel will tell us a lot. Hopefully she's not dead. I'm not... No.
Of course we hope that Delia is alive.
I feel like there might have been a public record about her death if she did die.
Right. That's true. We don't have anything on her besides this?
Not that I could find.
You can always check again, but we were mostly looking into Weatherby, not necessarily Delia. That's just one of the names. That's just the name that popped up on their father's obituary.
The people around Rose seem to disappear. What are your opinions on her?
I don't trust her. Oh my god, I don't trust her at all.
Really?
Well, okay, so you come into, it's 2 in the morning and so you escape
so
the enforcers
early.
To come get us?
Exactly.
Especially from Nova? I'm sorry, I didn't stop trusting the enforcers until after I left Nova.
She told me she's never left Nova before tonight.
Did she tell you who recommended us?
She wouldn't say. She just said a friend.
Zeb.
No, a different friend.
Wait, so Zeb was not the friend? Is Zeb the friend?
No,
I have Zeb written down as the
she has
friend.
many secretive, close friends that I have to... It's like pulling teeth to get information out of these people. It almost seems like they don't want to give information. They claim not to know anything, but this is her mother, for Christ's sake.
Saying that the enforcers are focusing on the murder aspect, but not the theft is... So you're coming to us to solve your mother's murder when they're focusing on the murder, but you think that they should be focusing on the theft?
Viola was a brilliant woman.
It's usually stuff like tunnel vision that can really affect a case. So if the police decide that it's one sort of thing, they're only going to be looking for someone that had motive to murder and not just steal. Which means they could be looking for an entirely different type of criminal and the wrong criminal. That's, I think, Rose's concern is they might be tunnel visioning on what they think it is when broader scope is needed. But I think we all right to be suspicious, especially when it comes to cases like this, and not be forthcoming. When it comes to investigation, it's suspicious at best and a hindrance at worst.
Do you think Viola could have been inventing something that people didn't want to be made? She was a brilliant mind. I looked up to her. I think that she could potentially have been making something that was maybe bigger than we are thinking.
Well, we'd have to find people then, I guess, that have a vested interest in either getting that tech themselves, making sure that tech never reaches public ears in the first place. And those are two very different kinds of motives we're looking at. But both motives worth looking towards. Could be a simple robbery, could be a more complicated robbery where they wanted that for themselves to make sure it just never reached the light of day.
Mama, did you find anything? I can reach out to my... Well, I can reach out to my contact.
I mean, I'm not sure if any of this is really relevant. There's a grant created by the Weatherbys for Arcadia University a few years back. There's another discussion about a project, but there wasn't really anything specific on it. And then there's another article discussing something called the hydro-riveted cartridges.
Hydro-riveted cartridges?
From what I understood, what the article was talking about, and I'm no technician or anything like that. I'm not inclined to that kind of world, unlike you, Joe. I was just trying to understand, and I think it's like basically a tiny steam engine for like smaller devices.
That's honestly not wrong.
So that's what another article mentioned, and then of course the symposium discussion she was supposed to have a speech. It was going to be coming up real soon, and she was supposed to reveal this project she's been working on for years. It's possible could have been a project she'd been working on and off with Zeke on, maybe he got. And this is all conjecture, because we're just going to drop theories on the board right now.
Oh, I can get the board. JJ pulls out a board, spool of red string.
It's very possible someone felt like they were snubbed and maybe wanted to try and take that and work for themselves, maybe to make a name for themselves, maybe to reestablish a name, maybe a name that's been overshadowed. But that's all conjecture, and we need to look at every possible avenue and see what other doors open up, what doors close.
May I read all of these articles?
Just put them back on my desk when you're done, please.
I will put them back in the correct order, JJ.
Thank you.
I feel like I've been pretty good about that recently.
JJ glances over at the highly, polished cabinets.
I've been trying.
You have done the best that you could do.
Joe grins cheekily. And that is all you can ask of me. And then kicks her feet up on the arm and starts to read and get up to speed.
As Jo sits down and begins her own perusal of the documents that Mama and JJ found,
I'm gonna be fixing breakfast for everyone.
She'll stick around for breakfast, I suppose, if everyone's already there.
and you have a little morning of eating and discussing this new case of the theft and death of Viola Weatherby. This series stars Kenzie Tartaglione as the Game Master, Atlas Matthews as JJ August, Danielle Halen as Mama Amoretta, and April Conslow as Joanna Gilmore. You can help us out by listening and sharing, rating and reviewing, coming over to our Discord, and lastly joining our Patreon to get access to episode aftershows, bloopers, and so much more. We're glad you're here to ring in our 3rd year of telling stories. Thank you all so much for joining us for our new season.
This episode is brought to you by Hero Forge. There is no better gift for a gamer than a custom miniature of their beloved TTRPG character. So this holiday season, take the guesswork out of gift giving and treat your players to a digital gift card to Hero Forge. Hero Forge offers fully customizable tabletop miniatures with dozens of fantasy species and thousands of parts to choose from, all within your browser. You can make minis in a variety of materials, including premium unpainted plastic and color standees, and they even offer downloadable model files so you can 3D print your unique designs at home. And for the dice lovers in your party, never fear, Hero Forge has you covered with their custom dice, which lets you put your hero inside the very D20 that will help lead you to glory. Visit HeroForge.com to send your players a digital gift card and let them build the heroes of their dreams.